read something or we listen to someone, our brain immediately creates an opinion. Have you ever wondered how your brain creates an opinion so quickly, and even without having any expertise in that specific domain? That phenomenon is called unconscious bias, and it's the biggest pitfall when we think about the future. My name is Michael from Drawangility. I'm a systemic coach and gestalt therapist, and I'm also the co-founder of Drawangility. And in this video I would like to explain what unconscious bias is, but also how you can uncover unconscious bias in a team. By the end of the video you will find a link to a free resource on our website, a template that you can apply with your group. So first of all, what's the problem with unconscious bias? Well, everyone always thinks about the future. Every day, every moment, we make plans for tonight, for tomorrow, or for next year, or the next 10 years. And we are forced by that because, there's a lot of trends that challenge us that we need to cope with, especially as an organization. There's digitalization, there is climate change, but there are also crises like the COVID pandemic. There is unstable political and economical conditions in the world. And we must respond to all those challenges and create new ideas, innovation. So we must create our future. But unconscious bias is rooted in the past. So every thoughts, every experiences we made, every knowledge we gained is rooted in the past. And it created filters. So the way we make decisions today is influenced by our past. This means while we think about the future, but we are not aware on our bias, the future might just be an extension of the past, but no real change, no real innovation may happen. Let's get some clarity. What is unconscious bias? And I took a look in Wikipedia, and it says bias is defined as prejudice in favor of or against one thing, person or group. So it's all about the stereotypes, the prejudice we have. Whenever we perceive information with seeing and hearing and tasting and smelling and touching, the plain data, our brain immediately creates an image or it constructs a reality. So we perceive little data, but we immediately, the very same moment, we create a reality. And that's our reality. Other people perceiving probably the same data, but creating a different reality. In order to uncover bias and these filters and these kind of realities, we must separate our thoughts from thinking. Our thoughts are present because, we have our thoughts 24/7 in our mind. And we articulate our thoughts and they become opinions, ideas, solutions, and we talk about these solutions with others and so on. So we are focusing on our thoughts. An opinion is nothing else than an articulated thought. But in order to uncover bias, we must switch the focus. So we must go back to the thinking. How do we think? What makes us thinking that something is right or wrong? What makes us thinking that a new idea from another person is a bad idea or a good idea? Switching focus means we not so much focus on the thoughts, but we focus on our thinking. And in a group, that becomes a real challenge. Imagine a group that looks for a solution for a problem. And if this is a problem that never occurred before, it's new, it's in a new context. So think about digitalization and climate change and war and coronavirus and a lot more. If that appears, probably we don't have knowledge, we don't have experience in that particular context. And now a group comes together to find new solutions, how to act, how to behave in the future. If we're not conscious about our bias, a new idea that a person articulates will be judged immediately as positive or negative, as good or bad, right? And it just takes, less than a second to do that. Which means in a group, probably you're not very constructive, you're not very productive, you're not very creative if your bias filters everything, if it fits into patterns, thinking patterns from the past. And since we face that challenge in our group work all the time, we created a simple map that helps groups to reflect their biases. It's called the Unconscious Bias Reflection Map, and it has a few segments, so it requires 3 steps to get through that. Let me explain the 3 steps. Step number 1. When you consider a certain topic, a problem, a project, or whatever you need to do next, as a group, think about what do you know about it? And what do you believe about it? And what do you really know? Often we are very certain about this is right, this is wrong, or I know how to do it. But actually, in this new context, we have no idea at all because our previous past experiences are not fitting to that problem anymore. So it's the cognitive level. So we question our thinking. How do we rationally explain this problem or this solution? How do we think? And there's a lot of beliefs as well. And beliefs are nothing else than past experiences. If we made a strong experience 5 years ago, this became a belief. And immediately, confronted with a new problem, the old belief appears and judges something into good or bad. So knowledge and beliefs are 2 areas that we consider. What can we really know? And are these old beliefs applicable at all in this situation? And that brings a lot of clarity and different viewpoints from the group. The second step now is we go to the emotional level, the emotional bias. Many situations we are confronted with, they create a feeling in us or emotion. So we feel fear or anger or enthusiasm. But we will resonate in a certain way with it. And of course, when we feel negative about something, we will find cognitive explanations against it. If we feel positive about it, we probably find cognitive, rational explanations for it. So our feelings and emotions that are present and also individual, they influence our decision making. They are also biased and avoid, a new view on the problem. So we have two steps. First is the cognitive bias, the cognitive level about our thinking on knowledge and beliefs. The second step is emotional levels. How do we feel confronted with that problem or an idea from another person? And as a group, it makes totally sense to create transparency on the different emotions that are attached to a problem. And now, the third step is important. What can we do in order to disempower the bias that we reflect on? And it's all about doing things differently and doing different things. If we just fall back into the old patterns, then we probably just repeat behavior. If we want to do something new and really create new solutions and overcome bias, we must do things differently than in the past and do different things. And that helps us to make a new experience. And by the way, this process is called learning. By just experimenting, doing new things, testing it out, and making a new experience. That is learning. So the template has 3 steps. First is analyze your cognitive bias, your knowledge, potential knowledge, your beliefs. Second is the emotional level, your positive and negative feelings and emotions attached to your problem as a group. And the third step is now taking action. What can we consciously do and do differently than in the past? And if you make reflection a team habit, and if you create a dialogue rather than a discussion, then you will be surprised how powerful bias is and how many biases are influencing your decision making, your behavior. So I would like to encourage you, take our map. Here is the link, and download it from our website and just test it the very first time if you're confronted with a complex problem in an uncertain environment where you have no clue about how to solve it. And before you start taking action, first reflect. And this starts with switching focus from your thoughts, your opinions, your ideas, and so on, back to the thinking process. What is influencing your thinking? Create transparency as a group, become more creative, become innovative, solve conflicts, and go forward and create a future.